Welcome back to Six Sided. 6 perspectives, 6 topics. This is Six Sided. We've only got 5 people though. We don't know where Dan is. So it's 5-sided tonight. Make sure you hit the like button, please. Make sure you get yourself subscribing. We've got some big talking points tonight, some massive fictional football questions, but it's all going to surround the news that you can see in the headlines. We're talking Hincapie, I think that's how you pronounce it, or Hincapie, to Arsenal. Sorry?
Hincapie.
It could have been worse.
Hincapie. Sounds like a coffee.
No,
Piero. His name's Piero.
Piero to Arsenal, terms agreed. Okay, we're talking about the latest Isak to Liverpool bid. When is it going to come? Tonight's game's getting a mention as well. Plus, Newcastle's media keeps lying to them, and I think it's an absolute abomination. We're also discussing the sacking of Ruben Amorim. Should it happen? Should it come too soon? Speaking of coming too soon, Dan, Positive Dan, is here on the show with us today. You know, look, do you know who you remind me of with your hair, where your hair is? I can't remember his name, but he was in a boy band, and he's now dating the ginger girl, Tiffany Butcher from EastEnders.
Oh, I know what you mean.
Yeah, you remind me of it. I can't remember his name, and that's a compliment, by the way. He's a good-looking,
I know, definitely.
Good-looking fella. Welcome to Positive Dan. So we're talking about sacking Ruben Amorim. Plus, we're looking at Chelsea, Spurs, and Arsenal, and how rampant rabbits they were this weekend. I knew your eyebrows would go up when I said that. Kate. You're like, ooh.
You've piqued my attention there.
You know what I mean? So
I need a generator, not batteries.
Hit the like button, people. Make sure you are subscribing to the channel. And we're going to go straight in. No messing with our first fictional football question. And the first person I'm going to go to is David. The Right Honourable David is with us now. And this is: with just 28 points in 29 league games, INEOS must sack Ruben Amorim. Keeping him proves the standards at Manchester United are too low.
I'm gonna go with fiction, but it's primarily based off of your second part of the question, because I do see why you should sack Amorim, or you shouldn't sack Amorim. But I don't think it's because of low standards. I think we are 2 games into the season, and sacking your manager now almost makes no sense, because that meant you had very little faith in him anyway. So you might as well have got rid of him and given somebody else a whole preseason to put in their own ideas. So I think it's best to wait. However, obviously, 29 games, 28 points, worse win rate than Graham Potter. That's grounds for a sacking. That is real grounds for a sacking.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's a showing of low standards. I think it's Man United can't get rid of their problems in one summer. So you either have to you've got to find a manager who's willing to go through this really difficult bit where you're kind of in that massive overhaul situation. Like, again, with Chelsea, we were quite lucky. We had an ownership that was, we're going to buy 40 players, we're going to get rid of 40 players. Kind of does your overhaul every summer, and eventually you'll kind of get somewhere. But United aren't taking that approach. So I'm going to go fiction, because I don't think it's low standards. However, Amorim probably should be sacked. I'm not saying 100%. I'm like 60% on he should be sacked. But that's me. That's me personally.
I mean, imagine, when your best manager, your Premier League era was leaving, that Ruben Amorim was the guy that you were pushing for. That could never have been me. He's so shit. I don't know what's gone on since he's joined United, but he makes no sense with half the things he does. I get what David's saying with the whole, the manager's going to come in the bad times, you're not going to fix all your problems, Mm. It also helps if the manager doesn't start making new ones, like playing Bruno Fernandes, insisting on Fernandes in the 6. He's not a 6. The goal yesterday comes from the fact that he's not a 6 and he doesn't track the late run into the box. A natural DM probably tracks that run into the box. It's just, I don't get it. And it's 1-1 with 5 minutes to go. You turn to the bench. Amorim's making 2 subs. On comes 2 centre backs.
Mhm.
What are we doing here? This is just 28 points in 29 games is horrendous. That European run last season is probably the only thing keeping them in their job, and that even wasn't great, especially considering the ending of it. You lost to Tottenham. That's not great. It's just you've got to give them more time with these players at least. You can't sack after 2 games after giving them 200 million. You've got to at least give them a couple more games to figure it out with this attack. But there's all other problems that he could have solved by now that he hasn't. I do not get the insistence on Bruno Fernandes in the pivot. It does not work. It makes United a lot worse as a team. I do not get the insistence on it. I do not get the insistence on Amad Diallo, who's the only good player United had last season, only bright spot United had last season, now being relegated to Mark Albright and shift at right wing back. Run up and down line, put some crosses in, enjoy. That's just a waste of his talent. I do not get the decisions that he's making, and they're not helping his course. They can't sack him yet. Also, the reason why I don't think they can sack him is that I look at the managerial market at the minute. It's not great. It's not like there's many top options that I'm looking at going, yeah, that's the guy United need.
Angie's available.
Yeah, that's why I said good options.
Oh, wow.
I'm talking about the problems that the managers are causing here. Ange causes more problems than Amorim does.
There's only one guy that can save Man United. We all know, and it's Gareth Southgate. You know, it's written in the stars.
Steady Ed knows how to keep it solid at the back. Good relationship with Harry Maguire, so you'll get good performances out of him. It makes sense, doesn't it?
You make jokes, but I think that's exactly what they need right now. Like, you have to start from the defense and work your way up. Like, you at least be solid.
So you think we should sack Anton? You think it's football that he should be sacked now?
Oh, no, I think it's fiction. And I believe that as Manchester United is a big club, you guys should not start getting into the habit of sacking managers so quickly, because it's going to just become a constant loop of one manager in, one manager out. You know, Terry, that Man United's problems are way beyond Ruben Amorim. Like, when he took over this job last year, by the way, he took it over in the middle of the season. I also, by the way, you say 28 out of 29. For me, forget last season. Like, we're 2 games into the season. This is what you should be focusing on. I thought your match against us, I was thoroughly impressed with the way you guys came at us and attacked us. And I think that there is an improvement in the way you played. Now, the performance against Fulham was disappointing, to put it lightly, but he came in middle of last season. By the way, he was at Sporting, different league completely, and he came into a club that has, let's be honest, not very stable. I think you had a lot of bad apples, bad eggs inside that club, inside the locker room, and you guys had no direction. And let's not pretend here like Man United were doing amazingly under Erik ten Hag. Like, I think that you have a manager now who had the entire summer, as David said. Let's see how it goes this season. I just think that, for instance, I just look back, and I may sound like a Man United fan, like a top red or something here, but didn't Sir Alex Ferguson also almost bring you to the brink of relegation before he started to break through and you guys started to be successful under Sir Alex Ferguson? Things like this take time. You have to have the patience. I get that you're Manchester United, but you have to kind of humble yourself a little bit and realize that you're starting from ground zero. Every single time you appoint a new manager, you're starting from the bottom. And I still, by the way, think that they need to help him by getting him a goalkeeper and getting him a good, proper midfielder as well.
Under Sir Alex, we finished 11th, 2nd, and then we finished 11th and 13th, and then we came 6th, then we came 2nd, and then we won the league. So didn't fall as low as 15th.
Okay.
But again, for me, I'll be honest with you, I don't care if we're 11th or we're 15th or we're 16th. I don't really see a difference in those positions. It's atrocious. But yeah, sorry.
Yeah. But what I'll say, my criticism of him, and what I would look at if I was a Man United fan, is why he builds a formation that does not include Kobbie Mainoo or Amad Diallo. Like those are your key breakthrough players who came in from your academy, who you're supposed to be building the future of your club around, and they can't even get into the first 11. Like if I had a new manager who came in and he did not feature Bukayo Saka or Miles Lewis-Skelly or at the time Emile Smith-Rowe, I would be like, what are you doing? Like we have all these players that are coming through who are Arsenal through and through. We should be encouraging that. And at the moment, I just think that he needs to more channel more about what is Man United players who want to be Man United players who fit the DNA of Man United versus fitting the DNA of Ruben Amorim. And I think there are things he needs to adjust. And when you go through the trials and errors of a season, you do start to fix those issues. But I just think it's way too early at the moment to sack a manager because you're going to bring in another guy and it's with the same exact problems.
Okay, I hear that. What are you saying, Kate? I mean, do you feel, again, we go back to the question, the statement. The question is fictional football, 29 points in 28 games. He must be sacked because if we don't, it proves the standards are too low. That's the statement that we're directly referring to. If he stays for another game, another week, is that showing that United have no standards?
No, I think it's fiction. I think you've got, look, the optics don't look great. His form last year was rubbish. I think the most damning stat is that he's only won 7 games at Old Trafford. But he's got new signings that have got a bed in. You've played Arsenal at home and you put up a good account of yourselves, to be fair. And then you've had Fulham away. There's plenty of time. I think you should give him till sort of November, December and see how he gets on. The goalkeeper issue is massive. There's still, you know, although you look at United and you look at your front three and it looks so much better now, the rest of your team still look pretty average. And I think there's still so much work to be done. A lot like Spurs. And it's not going to happen overnight. And I just think it's a bit of a knee-jerk reaction after 2 games to just sack him now. I think you've got to give him until at least November. But I can understand why Man United fans sort of are feeling that way because the stats are terrible. I mean, his win rate's something like 14% or something ridiculous. But look, I think maybe give him a little bit longer and see how it goes. If you sack him, I mean, who are you going to get in? I don't even know who you'd get in. I know that's not the problem, but
but that is the problem, and I'll get into why in a moment. I think you've hit the nail on the head, and it's a word I'm going to keep using when it comes to Man United, and that is panacea, and that's our biggest problem. Where you think too many Man United fans think, do X, we're fixed. And I think that stops us seeing the wood for the tree. We can't see the wood for the trees because we never understand the full extent of our problems. But we'll get into that in a minute. Dan, what do you make of this? You know, you guys went through, you didn't drop as low as 15th in the league. That's fair. But Arsenal went through a lot of turmoil in the first couple of years with Arteta, where some wanted him out. Some of those people still do. But you persevered and got better. What do you think United should do, INEOS should do in this situation? Persevere, push through the hard times until the squad starts to take shape? Or should they bite the bullet, show higher standards, and sack him and bring in a new face, a new voice, and a new direction?
It is a tough one. I will say that. It is a tough one. Obviously, when you support a team, you know, you look at things differently. But looking from the outside, initially I would say you've got to give him a bit of time, because what's the point? What's the point of letting him buy these players? What's the point in letting him start the season if you played quite well against Arsenal, but you lost? All right, you've drawn with Fulham. For me, that's not sackable offences, right? You know, so that's a bit silly. But what I will say is, what I don't seem to understand is touching on, I think it's what Tom said, right? Is Bruno Fernandes not being played in that position. Now, the 2 signings that you signed, right, the 2 big ones, Mbeumo and Cunha, for me, you've got Amad, who, you know, all right, he's not quite Mbeumo, but he's a Man United youth academy player, and he's a very good player. I think he's he could go right to the top. And then on the other side, you had Bruno, who is for me is better than Cunha, but that's the position he should be playing in. So you already had two good players in those positions. I mean, David yesterday called him a Man United legend. I wouldn't go that far and call him Bruno a legend, but he's a top player. He once scored 30 goals from that position. And then you're bringing him and putting him in a 6. Now, is that just stubbornness from the manager? I'm not sure. I mean, does Bruno Fernandes like to play there? So he makes very strange decisions. Like you were saying as well, defenders coming on late. I remember Arteta having to do that last year with Gabriel and Saliba because we had no strikers. Now, obviously, you're quite low on strikers as well, the whole Højlund situation. But I do think if sacking him now would what do you do? Who do you go and get? I don't know. Southgate possibly, but I mean, I just think the signings, right? For me, you needed a goalkeeper more than anything in the world. And I know, Terry, you said the attackers were more important. But I think you needed a goalkeeper and you needed a midfielder. And those should have been addressed first before you went and got these attackers.
And I hear you. I mean, we still wouldn't have won these games though if we addressed it, because the reason why we've drawn and lost our opening 2 games is because we didn't take the chances, and we had more chances
as well though against Arsenal.
Again, but if we took our chances, if you go in chronological order in the game, and we know that goals change matches.
Yeah.
Manchester United, because you got a goal, we saw the way that the game changed. Man United, if we finished our dinner, win those 2 games. Doesn't mean we don't have to solve midfield. Doesn't mean we don't need a better goalkeeper. I called both those things out yesterday. I can't ignore that. Like the Ahmad conversation. I can't ignore the fact that yesterday he had loads of opportunities to run at a fullback and he didn't bother. He just recycled the ball. I'm not going to sit here and go, oh, Amorim's at fault for that because he's played him in a wing-back position. Great opportunity because the width is there, because you've got Mbeumo inverting or coming in narrow for you to go on the outside. He barely tried it. Dorgu did it once, and the one time he did, we hit the post and nearly scored, and we didn't do it again. So some can blame the system, but then in the last game, they were doing it. So would he tell them away at Fulham not to attack down the flanks? Fuck off. I just don't believe that kind of nonsense. But for me, look, I think the standard thing, I'm going to go with fiction. But on the manager being sacked, if he gets sacked today, I'm not in or out. I'm not getting involved. I'm not playing that game. I'm not playing the in or out game on Amorim because I don't care and it doesn't matter. I've seen some comments here I'm going to pull up, and everyone's entitled to an opinion. Raiola, Grasner. Cool. But we've played this game before 8 times. When our manager's struggling, we start naming guys that are respected and hyped and everybody cares about. And Ruben Amorim was a name. Ruben Amorim was a name. Ten Hag was one of those names. Jose was one of those names. LVG was one of those names. And it doesn't work. And I'm not saying people are wrong for wanting him out. I'm not saying they're wrong that he's not a good enough manager, because they could very well be right. My issue is here, I only really want to debate and discuss this with people that have solutions. And I'm seeing a lot of people we saw this with Pogba and Jose. We saw this with Ten Hag and Bruno and Ten Hag and Rashford, when it was get rid of that player, get rid of that manager, we be cooking. Bring Kobbie back into the central midfield, we'll be flying. And I love Kobbie Mainoo, by the way. I look at it's the solutions I hear from people that make me really nervous. If we sack Amorim, and it is absolutely right, with looking at his stats, it's very hard to argue against sacking him. If you're just looking at the stats and looking at his win rate. My concern with sacking him isn't who replaces him per se. It's what's their philosophy, what formation, and what style of player and what profile of player do they need. Every manager at our club in the last, I would say from Jose onwards, has struggled because we were building something for LVG who wanted a specific profile. We then went to a completely opposing ideology under Jose, spent 2.5 years building that and spending money on it. Then went to Ollie, who wanted to do something a little different. Then went to Ten Hag, who ironically was still trying to play like Ollie, but was buying players to play his system that he was never implementing. We've created a Frankenstein squad that is no use to any one manager. And you guys were right ages ago when you said Southgate. Someone like a Southgate would be perfect now because he would adapt to what he's got. International managers have to adapt to what they've got to a certain degree because you can't buy from other countries, and we would get better. We get a better win ratio in the early stages, but we would still hit a ceiling with a manager like him because he can only get us to a certain level, and all the same pains and problems would then persist. If we adapt to these players, go, okay, guys, we'll play what gets the best out of you today as this group. We'll make marginal gains. We'll make improvements. We'll be back here again in 12 to 18 months. So if we are to sack Amorim, it has to be for someone that looks at the players we've purchased in the last 18 months, looks at the players that we're exiting and moving on, and by and large agrees. Slot taken over from Klopp, yes, a better run club in a better situation, but a manager that came in and said, love these players. Of course, they're going to buy more over time. They have this summer, but the way I coach and train, it is a seamless transition. It doesn't matter whether we're struggling or whether we're at the peak of our powers. You have to keep that continuity in approach. We can't go off in a brand new direction. And that for me is missing in the conversation. And it's the reason why I find it so hard to converse with people over it, because what I see is people requesting that the solution is what we've done 7 times prior and failed with. And it's what's the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. I don't think it's low standards or to go, do you know what? I don't want to repeat the same mistake. I'd rather persevere through the hard times and see how we end up in 2 years' time. Some can say that's low standards. At least it's trying something different to rinse and repeat the same mistakes. So I do get it. I understand why people want him gone. I understand the call. Like Staffy said in the group chat last night, most of you were in it, that last year when he was protecting him, he was just making up excuses. Like, he's admitted that he didn't mean what he said. I don't know what that means about all his other opinions, but he's admitted he was just saying that he was making excuses, that he's now deflated, that we've hired the wrong guy. And fair play to him. He's entitled to change his mind. He's entitled to change his opinion on the manager and say that he should go. He's saying he's not Amorim out, but he's also said we hired the wrong guy. So I don't know how you could not be manager out, but also say you've hired the wrong person. That for me is a little bit of semantics, so you don't quite say the words. But at the end of the day, you're entitled to feel it. I feel upset and angry with the way we performed yesterday. But I still think right now is too early. I don't think I would still give him some more time, especially as we may not have a replacement lined up. Who's going to come in the interim? We have to think about those things. Go a few comments here. It says that you've got football people in control now, new owners, so you shouldn't have had this issue with Amorim being sacked, as they would get a suitable replacement. Listen, very true. Very true. I mean, they might find that. That's my fear. So like I've said, I'm not opposed to... I've said it from day one. Go back, and I was getting called out for it by people. What do you mean you're suddenly happy for managers to be sacked? Well, I said, well, I'm not happy, but we've got a footballing structure. So I would hope now that we would not go in a brand new direction. We just bring in a coach that is better. As long as that happens, I don't care if we sack a manager every year within reason. And I'm exaggerating slightly, but to just show a point. As long as those managers you're changing to are of a similar ilk, need the same types of profiles, it's fine, because what we can't be doing is changing direction every year, 18 months, 2 years, because you'll never once build a squad that's capable of winning. So we have to get that right.
Can I add something in here, Terry? Because I've just been thinking as you've been talking.
Yep.
I think the biggest thing that Man United actually need, and it's beyond tactics, it's beyond buying players or anything like that, it's changing the culture. So one thing you brought up about Gareth Southgate, which I think, look, I still think I got to give Amorim time, but one thing I think Gareth Southgate did, and everybody likes to laugh at Southgate now because of the style of play, but he completely changed the culture in England, like for England international football, yeah? Because it used to be a very, very toxic culture, and all the players love to play for him, and all the players get along very, very well, even though they come from different rival clubs all the time, and there's a good cohesiveness in that changing room when he was there. They all fought for each other, and that's what we got to change first. The problem is not necessarily the manager or the players or the thing. The culture at Man United is just wrong, and until you change that, your problems are not going away.
And it's a very good point, because again, it's like you know, with the goalkeeper's an issue. We need to improve the midfield. We need to start scoring goals. And Lou said this earlier. He says, good God, the head loss has really hit our fan base. The man took over a team which got another manager sacked and has only just had a window where we still didn't get a goalkeeper. And there's so much truth in that. We all knew this squad was horrendous. We forget what we said about Ten Hag and the squad then, how horrendous it was and how much change needed to happen to it. Yet you make 4 or 5 changes and it's like, well, we haven't seen a massive improvement yet. I'm going to lose my mind. There is low standards. There's also zero patience. And I think there is a happy medium that is needed there as well. This year says Ruben Amorim, in this moment, we need to think about performances. Of course, I'm not crazy. I know what the feeling of the players in that team that they need to win every match. But Ruben Amorim was correct in what he said. We need to focus more on performances than winning. And it may sound counterproductive, but it isn't. You can't win consistently without consistently good performances. And the players did that yesterday. We scored a goal and then we chased the win and made mistakes instead of relaxing and playing good football. And we have to learn to do that. And we've been doing that under multiple managers. If you guys have watched us regularly, I know Tom has, he's been on the show, David, they've been here for years. Jose's teams, Ollie's teams, Ten Hag teams, and now Ruben's team score goals and then completely change, sit back and become vulnerable. If it happens 4 managers running, that tells you it's a cultural issue that is passed on generation to generation of teams. And obviously generations go through a lot quicker than general generations. But it passes on and on and on. It's part of the fabric of the club to do that. It takes a long time to fix. Hincapie in the top right took Klopp 4 years. Shush is what he said here.
Yeah, it took Jurgen Klopp 4 years, but along the way, you were seeing the clear signs of development, and you were seeing the clear signs of improvement. By the second game of the first full season of Jurgen Klopp, we'd already beaten Arsenal away, and I think we were battling towards top tail, and you were seeing that we could compete with these teams. The year before, we'd made it to a Europa League final and a cup final. I know you made the Europa League final last year, but the point I'm getting at is, as fans, we were sitting there going, we know where we're going. That year, Klopp's first full season, we finished 4th. We got like 78 points and we finished 4th. And you could see that we were always going to perform well, because I wasn't going into games that season going, oh my God, why is he playing Coutinho in the 6? Why is he playing Lallana in the 6? No, because the manager understood his squad, he understood the limitations, and he was working around that.
Yeah, no, I hear you there, mate. So sack Amorim and keep Arteta, who's 1-0. We're going to run out of time if we go into it. We know what this is. This is to rage bait you both. Just don't even fall for it. Thank you, Evan. But it's rage bait. Come on. Fictional football. United fans should start a GoFundMe to buy Amorim the newest FIFA Football Manager 26 so he can learn the basics. Good point. Although you claim to be a Man United fan, you always slag him off, but yet he's also your icon. Very strange man you are, but thanks for the super chat, bro. How we got the one? How have we got one of the Hoff twins back? Big up, Hoff twins. I don't know who they are. I'm sorry. I must be old and dumb. Man United fans deluded due to old success and expect the same results from Amorim. You will need to divide your expectations by 1 billion%. You're at ground zero. Stacking Ruben Amorim won't improve you. This is game week 2. Wait and see the future. Man United need to build on one tactic style. You've got players of 3 different managers. Again, there is also some truth in that. And I know we want to see improvements, and I want to see improvements. But that's my biggest fear when I hear sack the manager, is a case, again, if we got someone, like I already said, that's very similar, likes the profiles, you can continue that. My biggest fear is we go in a new direction. And if we go into a brand new direction, we are fucked.
By the way, Terry, there's breaking news here from Ben Jacobs about.
Let me just hang on. What you put out 17 minutes ago?
Yeah,
we're going to come to that. We've got a Mainoo section coming up, so we'll come to that in a few moments. Fictional football. Sorry, we'll come back to that one later. It's not on this subject. Sacking him this early is Standards FC mentality. Yeah, look, and I mean, Standards FC were the same group that said Donny van der Beek is clear of Bruno 5 years ago, and that's also why it's hard for me. Like, we'll get onto Kobbie in a minute, and I was saying to David last night, as much as I rate Kobbie, I'm doubting myself due to other people that are overly rating him, and I'm like, oh my God, am I wrong as well? Because they're wrong about everything. So we'll get into that. But this is the next question, and we are going to speak Arsenal on the show. We've got Liverpool and Newcastle comments coming up as well. But this kind of brings us into the next one. Fictional football. Kobbie Mainoo isn't world class. He's not even top class. He's a promising prospect who had a poor campaign last year. Him not starting the first 2 games isn't that deep. I'll go to Tom first on that.
I mean, no, he's not world class. That's a fact. He's not world class. But I also think that it's a problem that he's not started the first couple of games, because this is a lad who, on the face of it, fixes the problems that you've got. United's midfield is very poor on the ball and is constantly losing midfield battles. Now, Kobbie Mainoo doesn't fix all of that straight away, but he does a damn better job of it than what you've got in there at the minute. And this is the lad who he's supposed to be, he's the future. He's what you want to build around. The fact that Ugarte is getting the minutes ahead of him. Ugarte's brought on the pitch to kick people, and he's not even good at that. He doesn't even kick them, he misses them. They still run past him anyway. So I don't see the point in not using him in any capacity. It's got to be concerning for United fans at this point, because he, as a footballer, Kobbie Mainoo, is going to start angling to leave. If he's not playing regularly, if he's getting benched for Casemiro and Ugarte week in, week out. And then what will happen is Mainoo will go somewhere. He'll perform well because he's a good player. And United fans will sit there and go, oh, we fucked it. But why did we let him go? Why weren't we just playing him? Oh, we've done it again, this, that, and the other. He's not world class. That he was getting overhyped. He didn't have the greatest campaign last year. But I don't think any players had a great campaign last year, all things considered. But
and on that, Ben Jacobs has just tweeted that Kobbie Mainoo is now considering options following a diminished role at Man United so far this season. Unclear if anything will develop in the next week. Mainoo has always been committed to staying, but the lack of opportunities have changed the dynamic. So David, another young prospect from the Academy of United, could leave. But when you go back to the fictional football question, he didn't have a great campaign last year under both managers. Are Man United fans, in your opinion, doing too much when they're losing their minds over him not playing? Or is it about trusting the fact that maybe he's not ready yet? Food for thought. You're on mute, bro.
I'm going football. He has been overrated. He's a good player. He is a good player. But I was hearing he's competing with the big boys at the young table, and he's not quite there. Because if he was there, he'd be playing. Because it doesn't make sense for Amorim to just sit this guy on the bench. Because if he was that good, he'd be actively working against himself. I just don't think he suits what United are going to do. I don't think Kobbie Mainoo is good in a two-man midfield. He's really going to struggle. He's going to need someone next to him who is going to sweep up everything behind him and then almost have the elite passing capabilities to go with it. Kobbie is a good ball progressor, especially as a dribbler, but as a passer, he's not a game changer. He's just a decent midfielder at passing. Is he better than Ugarte at passing? Yeah. Is he a better defender than Ugarte? No. So I can see why Ugarte gets minutes. I just think people have just gone too quickly with it, and they just need to hold it back a bit. And also Anton said earlier, if Arteta came, if a new manager came in and they didn't build his system around players like Saka and Mars Lewis Skelly. I mean, again, Lewis Skelly, I'm still not convinced on. But Saka is definitely an elite player. That's someone who you build your squad around. But to build your squad around someone who you don't even know yourself is actually an elite player, that doesn't make any sense. There are better players. There are better players, one, you should be able to sign for Manchester United than Kobbie Mainoo. And if Kobbie Mainoo is good enough, he'll then find his way into the team. But if he's not good enough, then he won't. That's the standard. Smith Rowe, another fantastic example of people going too early with it, saying, "Oh my God, this kid's amazing." He wasn't, and now he's at Fulham, and that's his level. And there's nothing wrong. Emil Smith Rowe is 99. He's better than 99.5% of footballers in the world. He is, but he's just not in that top 0.5%. And that top 0.5% are the ones playing at Chelsea. They're the ones playing at Arsenal. The ones
but you know what? His Arsenal career got completely ruined by injuries.
I honestly don't care. Honestly, I don't care because I didn't think he was good enough before, and I didn't think he was good enough after. Simple. I was the same with Mason Mount as well. Didn't think he was good enough before. He's had his injuries. Is he good on the ball? Yeah, he's all right on the ball. But is Mason Mount an elite midfielder that's going to progress you somewhere to where you want to be? as a big football club. I'm not talking about being good. I'm talking about being elite here. This is not. This is a standards thing. There are many good footballers. Kobbie Mainoo is a good footballer, like he is, but he's just not an elite footballer, and that's kind of what United need in that midfield, and that's not him. So
the thing is, though, it's going to sound stupid because it's counterintuitive. Even if he's not the best option for the midfield, it's safer for Amorim to play him because people will back it because it's an academy kid anyway.
Well, but
now we're getting into managers. Yeah. Like managers like agreeing with fans. If my manager and my club listened to fans, we'd be so much worse off.
David, he hasn't been agreeing with the fans, and he's got 28 points in 29 games.
But that's part of this is my theory on it, right? I just want to, as a United fan, I want to give my view on this. I rate Kobbie Mainoo. I've said this a few times in the last couple of weeks, though. My gut feeling is that Ruben Amorim doesn't rate him that highly. Just a gut feeling. But I don't think it's that he doesn't see that he's a good footballer. There's a comment that came through earlier. I hope I starred it so I could put it up. I didn't. I missed it because I don't want to steal. It's not your thunder. I agree with you, but I want to put it up. Put your name in lights for you. Where are you, my friend? Write it again if you can. He said Kobbie needs a 3. Here it is from John. Kobbie needs a midfield 3. This is very true. Man United are currently
I'm not a fan of that formation at all.
Okay, and that's fine to not be a fan of that formation. But again, I've never been married to a singular formation, a style. I don't care if Man United decide to play like peak Jose, peak Pep, or anything in between. Couldn't give a monkeys, because I think that if clubs start, what we're going to do, hold referendums every 5 years for the fan base to vote on the style of play they want. It's just stupid. There's elements of the club. You run the club the way you run the club, and this is how we're going to play. But whatever we pick, and I said this when INEOS came in, whatever we pick, we must stick to and build to it. You build the first team squad first, you get that working, then all the new academy players, you slowly start to change the way your academy plays football so it matches. At the moment, we're still playing more 4-2-3-1, 4-3-3 at the academy level because they've been doing it for years. You can't just change it overnight. You've got to integrate it. You look for, even at academy level, you're looking for different types of talent around the world of football when you're bringing them in because you're playing a new way. And I do have a gut feeling that Kobbie isn't going to work in the 2. I'd like to see it tested. I'd like to see him given the games and the opportunities to see whether he could do it. But he's barely getting an opportunity to. And he didn't have a good season last year, but he barely gets a chance. And I'm not saying Amorim is right, because I think he is a really good player. But I wonder if the clubs that come in to buy him, if he leaves, play a 3 midfield or a 2 midfield. I'm gonna put a bet on it now. They all play 3 in midfield, which is where I think he's. And we're deciding not to do that. And the thing is, as much as some will go, I can't believe you'd sell Kobbie before you would sell Casemiro or before you would sell Ugarte. No, not in an ideal world. But if we need someone that can play in a 2 and Kobbie can't, you get more money for selling Kobbie and you can invest it. And this is goes back to the other question. Are we going to keep the manager? Are we going to sack the manager? If we sack the manager, are we going to continue with someone that plays 2 in midfield, which we're trying to build for? Or are we going to go back to 3 in midfield? Or 4-2-3-1, which is essentially the same fucking thing. Are we going to do that? But the club need to make their mind. It's not about Amorim or Kobbie. The club has got to decide what we're going to do, because you don't like the shape, Anton. That's fair. A lot of United fans don't. But if you build the squad to make that shape work, like Crystal Palace do, but with better players, it can thrive. The problem we've got is that we're still in between the squad qualities of 2 different formations. And as much as I want to protect Kobbie, he's from the academy. I love the kid. There's another part of me that's saying, well, why keep players that don't suit what we're trying to build? You can't keep players that don't fit the system just because they're from the academy. Equally, if you're going to keep players that fit another system, you need to get rid of this manager and coach the other system. I feel like we're between a rock and a hard place here, and we've got to go with one way. We have to make a decision. I don't care about standards. I don't care about people's individual feelings towards Amorim or Kobbie. We need to have some consistency. You're not going to get that if everything's based on emotion. You can never create consistency when your decisions are based on emotion. And that's the fifth thing. What do you think, Dan? Do you think that, sort of dropping him, not playing him, isn't that deep? Or do you actually think it's a lot of people are saying in the comments, and fair play to him, it's a massive red flag for Amorim that he doesn't play him?
Well, for one, he's just spent £42 million on Ugarte, right? That's his signing. That's his
No.
It was Ten Hag.
That was Ten Hag.
Was it Ten Hag?
Yeah.
Okay, and he's flat. Okay, well, with Mainoo, at first, again, I thought, wow. But I do think he was overhyped. But he's 20 years old, so him not playing, I don't think it's the end of the world. But if it was my team, he would be playing. He would be playing in that, and Bruno would be in his main position. Whether he can play in a 2 or not, I think he could. If he has Ugarte next to him, I think he could play in a 2. And I think then you get Bruno in his main position. I think the main thing for a manager to do is get your best players in their best positions. So if it means putting Mainoo in a 2 with Ugarte, and then you get to have Bruno Fernandes in his best position, then I'd be all for it. I think with Amorim, he's naive in the same way that Postecoglou is naive. And naivety will end up getting you sacked. Because you can call it stubbornness or naivety, but I'll take you back, like you said, with Arteta. With Arteta, with the first squad that he had, he realised straight away, I can't play 4-3-3. And he went 5-3-2. And we won an FA Cup from it. As soon as he started getting in his players, which obviously I know Amorium's done that now as well, he went 4-3-3. And we've seen Arteta change his style, gun-ho. And then we got burned. Well, we didn't win the title because we weren't good enough defensively. Now he's become more solid. And look, he built the team from defence, midfield, goalkeeper. He bought 2 goalkeepers. Wasn't happy with Ramsdale, even though he was doing quite well. No, I want another goalkeeper. Important positions. And I feel like Amorim, he's being naive. He's sticking to this system, which is his philosophy. It's the only way he knows how to play. But surely as a manager in today's modern game, you need to know how to play other ways. You need to get your best players in their best positions. And some managers are just, I saw it with Wenger for years, when you'd be like, why are you doing this? And we'd go and lose 6-0 to Chelsea, 5-0, 4-0, because he was just naive to it. He wouldn't go in, he wouldn't adapt and adapt to today's game. So I think
Amorim needs Fernandes taken away from him. It sounds weird to say, but he needs Fernandes taken away from him, because right now he's trying to stick Fernandes in a
he's like that naughty kid at school. It's like if you take the naughty kid away, the other kids start behaving themselves a bit. Kate, I'll come to you finally on this one before we've got a big question to do with Newcastle coming up. But what are you saying, Kate?
Yeah, I don't know who in their right mind ever said he was world class. I've never heard anyone say that he's world class, but someone's obviously said it. Look, I'm saying this is football means it's not right. Is that right?
Football means it's correct.
Yeah.
I can't remember what the question was, but he's not world class. I can tell you that for nothing.
So essentially, the underlining element is because he had a poor year last year and he's just a prospect, not starting him in the first 2 games isn't that deep.
Yeah, that's true. That's true in itself. But you know what? I remember when Amorim got hired the first week after his first game and his first interview, I was on here and I said this should ring alarm bells for United fans, that this guy has come out and said he won't change his system, and it's already proving that it's not working. But I personally think Mainoo is a very good player, but I agree with what everyone said. He's always going to be behind Bruno in the pecking order. I can see him going this window, whether it be on a loan or with an option to buy or maybe being bought outright. I know Spurs have shown an interest. Apparently there's a few clubs that are sniffing around him. I think he's got fantastic prospects. But I'm sorry to say it, Terry, but I kind of feel like Man United is a bit of a poison chalice at the minute. Everything seems rotten about it from the top to the bottom. And I don't think it's a good place for a youngster like him to thrive, especially when he's not getting game time. So I think same with Garnacho. I think if Garnacho goes, you'll see a different player when he starts playing at another club.
No, I don't disagree with that at all. It gives me... he lasted a little bit longer, of course, under him, but kind of gives me. I remember some young players at United that just didn't get as much game time as people expected once Fergie came in. I think the youngster we had there, Clayton Blackmore, at the time, that there was a lot of frustration that Fergie wasn't playing him more and using him more. And he stayed for quite a few years, but was never the never the kind of centerpiece and the star that United fans expected him to be. I think he came into the first team 15, 16 years old. And this sometimes happens, but we've got to make a decision. And it's for me, I'd personally, my feeling is I'd sell Bruno tomorrow to Saudi for 90 million. I'd whack all of that plus some down on Carlos Baleba, and I'd give Kobbie Mainoo some game time, put Kobbie Mainoo and Baleba in the middle together and see how that works. If it doesn't work and Mainoo, again, if we try it and Mainoo doesn't do a good enough job, then I don't have an issue with saying he's got to be sold. My problem is I just don't feel like he's been given enough game time by the manager. So I don't agree with his decision personally, but that's just me.
So I actually have.
Yeah,
Sorry, I actually didn't get to answer my question.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, not nice. We've spent a bit too much time on United. If we can get do nice and quick, and we're going to move on because we've got 4 more.
Sure.
In an hour and a half. Sorry,
I just have some suggestions on this, kind of creative suggestions. Firstly, football. I don't think that Kobbie Mainoo is world class, but I think that this player is way too valuable for you to be selling him on a permanent deal. Because I think that at a certain point, for instance, he's got so much to develop. And as you just mentioned, Bruno, I think that's the biggest issue here right now, is you got a player who I don't think has much of a future at the club. He happens to be the club captain. I think maybe you have a year left of Bruno at Man United, probably. What I would do, this is my creative suggestion. You just mentioned having Mainoo playing together with Baliba. I think what you should do is send Mainoo on loan to a club like Brighton, where he plays with a bit less pressure. There's less going on. He has a chance to develop because let's be honest, Brighton does a very, very good job in developing young talent. And it's like he plays with Baliba at Brighton for a year, comes back off loan, you sell Bruno, and then buy Baliba, and you have a ready-made partnership with chemistry coming into Manchester United for next season. That's my suggestion.
Let's see. Did they play the midfield too? Right.
No, they play 3.
They have Matt O'Reilly who plays like a 10, and then Baliba and like
if he gets game time at Brighton.
I don't even know who else they play alongside Baliba.
Wait, I've got the answer.
All right, Araya plays it. They play 2. They play a double pivot. They play a double pivot.
Oh, Ayari, yes.
Yeah, they play a double pivot.
Yeah.
Viewers, make sure you've hit the like button, please. Make sure you are subscribing. The next question, because there's a lot to unpack in this and break down, but this is fictional football. I'm going to go to Positive Dan on this first. Newcastle fans are being misled and lied to. If Isak is not for, they're stating, the media in Newcastle is stating Isak is not for sale, yet the club is still openly chasing Wissa and Larsen, with a £50 million bid for Larsen being turned down today. Are Newcastle fans being lied to?
I don't think they are, no. I don't think they're being lied to. I've maintained it from the start, Terry, that I think it's massive for Newcastle's future, perhaps for the next 5 years, that they hold on and keep Isak. If they want to be part of the big boys, they need to show now we're keeping our star, we're building our team around him, and we're keeping him. Because if they let him go, they're bang in trouble. I mean, whether they get Larsen from Wolves or not, he's nowhere near. He's nowhere near. I mean, it's different if they were going to get maybe a Sesko, but Larsen, Wissa is not an out-and-out striker like that. So look, if they get both of them, they've got something to think about. But there's a week left with this transfer window. So I think Newcastle are going to dig their heels in, and that's why this game tonight is going to be tasty. This could be one for the ages. There's going to be so much anticipation. There's going to be so much venom in that game from the crowd. And I think I actually tip in Newcastle to win that game today. But I don't think Newcastle are aligned to them in answer to your question. No, okay. I don't. I think they really, really have to show now. If they want to be part of this Big Six or Big Four or whatever you want to call it, you can't let one of your rivals, because essentially they are rivals, come and get your best player.
So I get that stance, but I want to break something down. So this morning, Craig Hope, along with other Newcastle, and I'm talking about the media lying to them, came out and said, my information, these were his exact words. My information now is that Alexander Isak is going nowhere. Definitive. We also know the same journalist, along with Luke Edwards and man like Keith, have said that Wissa is the Callum Wilson replacement, and Larsen, if they got him, would be the Isak replacement. They have been very, very clear about this. They're still chasing both. So if Isak's going nowhere, which was your claim this morning, which Newcastle fans did what you said, they went, my club, we've been strong. Why are they then put a £50 million bid in for Larsen if Isak is going nowhere? That's the bit for me where I look at it, and I want to throw that to the rest is again, I feel like the media are at the very least misleading them, because how can a player, I'll go to Kate next, be going nowhere whilst you're bidding for his replacement?
I think it's fiction, Terry. I think every Newcastle fan on this planet knows that Isak is for sale. Every player has got their price, don't matter whether they're the best player in the world or not. So, the media did it with Harry Kane. He's not going anywhere. He's not going anywhere. We all knew he was going to end up going. I don't think it's fiction at all. Plus, obviously, the fact that they're chasing these players. I can't understand from, obviously Isak's a wonderful player, but from where I look at it, as if I was a Newcastle fan, I'd want him out of my club. I think the way he's handled everything has been awful. Whether you agree with him striking, whatever, I don't like it. I don't like this player power business, but they're never going to keep someone at a club where he's so unhappy. So look, I just think if any Newcastle fan truly believes that he's not for sale and he's not going anywhere, they need to give their head a wobble, because when Liverpool comes calling and he wants to go, he's going to go. In my opinion, I think he's going to go. You don't keep an unhappy superstar.
Yeah. There's a comment here that says if Larsen joins, they probably won't get Wissa. They have no attacking depth. That's maybe fair, but last week when they put a new bid in for Wissa and there was excitement from Liverpool fans saying, oh, this could be the start of the conditions, Craig Hope, Keith, and all of their media went, no, guys, we need 2 strikers if that happens. And Wissa is the Callum Wilson replacement, not the Isak replacement. Then the narrative changes when it moves again. I just don't feel like they're being honest with Newcastle fans. That's all. But Tom, how do you see this, mate? You've got a big game against them tonight. There's a lot of thoughts that once this game's out of the way, things will progress with a week remaining in the window. They're bidding for the replacements, whether people like it or not. What are you saying?
I can't wait for this to be over and done with. Honestly, God, it's the most stupid thing going on. The idea, and I mean this with the greatest respect to Newcastle as a football club, but the idea that Newcastle can sign a £65 million footballer as the replacement for someone who played 400 minutes last season is mental. In my eyes, that doesn't work for Newcastle at this point in time. I understand they've got the ambitions to be challenging with the big boys at the big table. You don't do that yet. You're still a couple of years away from that. Stop trying to jump the queue. I don't like how it's gone about. We should just pay the money. I don't know why we've not paid the money. Just pay the money. He's clearly the only guy that we want, so give them the money and then let them get whoever they want. Let them go spend the money on whoever they want. But the idea that Strand Larsen, who is a starter week in, week out at Wolves. Now, albeit it's Wolves who are fighting towards the lower half of the table. But the idea that he's going to go from that for 60 million to Newcastle to replace someone who played 400 minutes, I don't think it works that way. I think that the plan is they get one of them in now. So they say, oh, he's the Wilson replacement. Works. And then we put in the big money offer that they actually will accept. And then they go, we had another talk with him about reintegrating, but he was very open and said, no, I'm not going to do it. I don't want to reintegrate. But now that we've got Strand Larsen in, we've got the security behind it to where we can let him go and focus our attention on another striker. The only issue has been from the minute they started this, they have said that the bar has changed on the striker, and and they've tried to gaslight us with it. When Hincapie to Newcastle was happening, we were being told they're going to play a 4-4-2. They're going to play Hincapie alongside Isak. That's the plan all along. They're not going to let go of Isak. It's going to be Hincapie and Isak. And now the same journalists are now telling us, well, it's Liverpool's fault. They hadn't bought Hincapie. We would have sold them Isak. We weren't supposed to know that because you said that wasn't the plan. Your plan was that Newcastle were going to buy them both and play them together. So we had to go and get the only guy that was available. So now we're at the point where it's now, oh, no. See, we can't do it if we don't get the guys in. Shop in your range. You will get Wissa. You will beat out any competition that is for Wissa. You will beat out any competition that is for Strand Larsen because you can beat out competition from most teams in Europe. That's how mad the Premier League is. If I was to put Newcastle in a transfer battle with Leverkusen or with AC Milan, clubs, with bigger sort of achievements in the last how many years, Newcastle win that battle. So go and fight them teams for those players. Stop trying to fight United's and Liverpool's of this world because you're not going to win any of them. And I can't wait for this to be put behind us. Whether we get him or not, I do think he becomes Liverpool player within 12 months. I do think that if we don't get him this summer, it's not going to be a case of leave it. We're just never going to get him. No, we'll be there again in January and we'll be there again next summer. But this whole thing has just been an unnecessary carry on all season, all summer long, and it's just I can't wait to see the back of it. And tonight's just been amplified to a new level. The whole Joe Linton's going to smash all these. They're not going to know what's hit them. Our players don't care. They haven't done anything. We haven't done anything wrong.
You know what I find so funny about it as well? Both Brentford and Wolves are telling Newcastle there's so much irony in this. It's maybe it's my British humour. The irony levels are through the roof. Both Wolves and Brentford are saying they're not for sale, but are setting high sale prices, right? Which is just funny because that's what Newcastle keep doing. But they're not bidding the price. So it's come out now from Percy at the Telegraph that sources have suggested that a bid in excess of 75 million for Wolves would make them consider it. A bid in excess of 60 million would make Brentford consider it. But Newcastle keep bidding 20 to 25 million pound below both asking prices. The irony in that is that they're moaning at Liverpool for doing the exact same thing. And that's the part for me where I feel their media has played such a part of not just speaking the truth and saying that the player is for sale at this price. Liverpool, like they're trying to paint Liverpool out to be some kind of criminal for not bidding the asking price, while their club has consistently done it all summer. It's a madness.
Teddy, with the scumbags for being so horrible and bidding a British record transfer fee. We're terrible. We're trying to underhand them. We're trying to scheme them by bidding a British record transfer fee for the player.
I mean, you did take their replacement. You did take their replacement. Let's not forget that. You did take their replacement.
That was it. Oh my God. They told us he wasn't the replacement. He was the partner.
No. What they told you was no. What they said was that Isak is only for sale at this price. If you don't pay this price, Isak's staying. However, we also want that guy because if we get that guy, he can then be under that. There might be games where they play together. There might be games where they don't. Or this guy will do this and this guy will do that. And then next summer, we'll let him go. That's what I heard at the start. That's what I was hearing. I did not hear. Again, I'm not a Twitter guy, so I'm not going to sit here and be like, I know exactly what's going on. But I did not hear once people going, they're definitely playing two strikers, 38 games the whole season. I'd never heard that. That never came out. So I don't agree with that. I personally actually think that Newcastle have done an absolute blinder because this is amazing. One, for me, this has been brilliant. I love watching this because I'm seeing people become lawyers.
I'm sure you would.
People who didn't even go to university, they did nothing. They got a job. They're happy with their lives. Suddenly, all of them have got law degrees, and they're all this passage and this subsection. Can you not read between the lines? This is brilliant. This is amazing.
Article 17. He's going to tear me this contract.
Article 17. This is what I'm saying. Like everyone suddenly knows everything. It's brilliant. Newcastle are now in a stage where it's either you give me I need all that money like now. Like I really do need it because otherwise they've got no one to play a striker. By the way, tonight is going to be the most boring 1-0 Liverpool win you've ever seen. This game is not going to be Royal Rumble. This is not going to be WrestleMania. No. This is not going to be UFC 250. No, this is going to be a really boring normal game of football, and Liverpool are probably going to win it at the end. But like Newcastle are now in a stage of, well, we really need this money because we actually are not we're not bidding full price for them. So we really need this money now. Otherwise, I'm just not going to let this guy go. They're just now stubborn. They're actually at the point where they're just being like, he's not going anywhere. And that's what I think they mean by he's not for sale. I think, again, Neymar was not for sale when he went for 220 mil. But obviously, situations change. I think if Newcastle were to get both of them, then I think that stance would change. If Liverpool actually put 150 mil down right in front of them, I think that stance would change. But as of today, with the current circumstances that are about, Isak is not for sale. And I don't think that's a crazy thing to say. I don't think they're being misled. I really don't. I think that it's just a matter of currently This side's not budging. That side's not budging. Therefore, there's no way this deal's happening. So he's actually just not for sale. But obviously, things can change. So.
What are you doing?
What are you doing?
It's after sun. It's after sun.
It's too late now, Terry. The damage is done. The damage is done.
Laboratoire Garnier. A little bit of
aloe vera.
Sun
Someone's clipping that, and that's going to get used in a terrible sense.
That's
I was about to say something.
Let's see if the microphone picked up the noise. Hang on. Sorry, over to you, Anton. Whilst I cream my face.
All right.
All right.
I'm about to say something that a lot of the viewers in this chat, or maybe people on this panel, are not going to like. It is absolute fiction that Newcastle are being misled. In fact, and the man over to my right is going to really be fuming after I say this. Liverpool fans are the ones actually being misled, because from the start of the window, Newcastle were very, very clear. Alexander Isak is not for sale. You went in to ask them, hey, is Alexander Isak for sale? They said, no, Alexander Isak is not for sale. Now, the situation changed when the player himself started kicking and screaming. But let me tell you something about Jørgen Strand Larsen. And this is why I think that Newcastle's trying to do here, which is bide their time and basically stall to the end of the window so the window closes and that it's over and that he's going to have to recommit to the team. Jørgen Strand Larsen has just made his loan deal last year from Wolves permanent. So he literally signed for Wolves this summer. So I believe that bidding for Jørgen Strand Larsen is completely disingenuous, and they know exactly that Wolves are not going to sell them to him. Wolves without Jørgen Strand Larsen this season would be going down. That would be an absolute suicide on the part of Wolves. And for Newcastle, if they were to lose Isak and replace him with Jørgen Strand Larsen, they would go from being challenging for the top 4, top 5 to being mid-table. So this is a team that is owned by Saudi owners who are incredibly rich. So Newcastle is not desperate for the money. They can keep him, and they made it very clear: 150 million or nothing. And this is a message, because look, to be honest, if they let Isak leave I don't know, everyone's laughing and smiling, but if they let Isak leave, this sends a message to the Anthony Gordons and the Bruno Guimarãeses of this world that you put up enough of a fight and you act and behave in this way, eventually we are going to let you go somewhere else. And at the moment, Newcastle just cannot allow themselves to be bullied, and their stance needs to be underlined. They said at the start of the summer, this player is not for sale. If at the end of the day their arms are twisted for anything lower than 150, then all of a sudden they lose any negotiating power in the future. Like, this is not just about the play. No, I know you're laughing, but this is kind of my view on it. I think I look at it from Newcastle's point of view, and I think that Liverpool fans have been wasting their time dreaming about Alexander Isak from before the beginning of the summer. I hate to call out my boss, Danny, but he's a big Liverpool fan, and he told me, hey, I think Alexander Isak is coming to Liverpool. And this was back in March. And I laughed at him. I said, dream on. And I still think dream on. And let's be honest, right? If Newcastle were going to replace him, there's a perfectly good replaceable player in Nicholas Jackson down at Chelsea. Why have they not approached Chelsea for him yet? I'm sure Chelsea, I know because my club has dealt with them very, very many times. They're good. They're easy to negotiate with. If they want a player sold, they will make a swift transaction. Newcastle are not trying to.
Can I ask you a couple of questions quickly? Maybe I've misheard. Sorry, Anton. So why have they bid for 2 strikers if they're not?
I think sorry.
You think you're doing an Eni Aluka here? It's like a ploy.
I do think it's a ploy. I think it's a public. What's the word here that I get? Stunt. I think they're trying to keep Isak, thinking, oh, look, we're trying our best to get rid of you, blah, blah, blah. But I don't think Jørgen Strand Larsen is a target that is attainable, because he literally just joined Wolves permanently this summer. I've never heard of a club signing a player and selling a player in the exact same window.
It's happened before. I can't.
The other question I've got. So are you? Because I just want to make sure I heard you right. Because I never like to. You said at the start that Newcastle resoundingly said he isn't for sale, but then you also said, but if you pay 150 million, he can go. So is he for sale or not for sale?
So he's not for sale for anything less than 150. But I do think that is the one thing that they have relented on a little bit. So obviously, look, I'm not saying that the situation never changed. The situation has obviously changed. Like at the point after Ekitike went to Liverpool, the player obviously went on strike. That is absolutely factual, and the player wants to go to Liverpool. Like there's nothing to deny that. But I'm talking about simply from Newcastle's point of view of how they want to be looked at as a club, especially as a negotiator. That they made it clear that he's not a sale for anything 150, and they need to stick to that. And if Liverpool really want the player that bad, they need to pay 150. Okay. And then the situation goes away. There's 7 days to go in the window. Yep. So we're going to find out what's going to happen really soon.
So this leads us into the next question, which is, and I'm going to go Tom first on this because he's a scasser. Fiction or football? Liverpool, it's reported that Liverpool won't move for Barcola or Fofana if they fail to sign Isak. Will this leave Liverpool short in attack?
On that basis, yes. If it's Isak and then you don't get Isak and then it's no one, yes, because you only got one recognised striker unless you want to play Jadon Danns up front. I did see that today that Sasha Tavolieri said that Rodrigo's a backup plan because he's now asking Real Madrid to go, but he's been doing that all fucking window long apparently, and he doesn't want to go, and it's this and that. So I'd take that with a massive pinch of salt. I'm not as angry about it though, on the basis that I know how the club is going to try and operate with the Isak thing, and we'd be back for him in the January, we'd be back for him in the next summer. He's clearly the top target for the position, the dream target, and when Liverpool have a dream target like that, they will wait for them. The worry is though that the lack of depth there does leave us a little bit short, especially since we lose Salah to AFCON this year. So there will be a stretch of like 3-4 games before the January window, which is the earliest Isak could come in at that point, where we have the three, like we've got 4 senior options in the attack. I know that Arnie said you can use Frimpong there and you can use Wirtz there and this, that, and the other. We've got 4 senior attackers, and then we've got players that can do a job there. That's not great. We definitely need one more. So you would be leaving it slightly short, but I don't have the same necessarily anger towards it if I know that we're not jumping in on anyone because we're trying to get Isak in the next window or in the.
Matt Law, you've done this. Is your fault, Anton. This is your Matt Law, one of the most respected Chelsea journalists in the world, says that Newcastle United are eyeing up a move for Nicholas Jackson. I'm going to put that out there. It might be a just out there.
Eyeing up is the key wording here, Terry. Eyeing up.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
That isn't new news. They've been eyeing him up.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is this idea that, well, why haven't the statement was, why haven't they gone in for him? Maybe they prefer. By the way, I do think Larsen's a better goal scorer than Nico Jackson. I actually think in a better team, I think he'd be a better goal scorer. But I was putting it out there that it's still a player on the agenda. I mean, I know that Isak's not for sale, and they're doing it all for a public ploy. But he's another player they're still looking at. But so sorry, back to you, Tom.
I mean, just from that article as well, he says in it that insiders believe that Liverpool could still move for a forward, even if Alexander Isak stays put this summer. So I like to think that we've got at least 1 or 2 backup options available.
Have to. Yeah, you have to. You
can't
just wait this window.
I'm not too bothered about it if it means that I can get him later down the line. Isak is that good that I'd wait. I'd rather not do like we can't get Isak, right? Who's left at this point in the window? We'll just wait for like some 40 million quid player. No, if I know that I can do something with Isak within the next 12 months, I'll wait on it. But we need another attacker anyway, kind of thing, even outside of that. We are a little bit short on the left wing depth because even though the manager speaks very highly of him, it doesn't seem like there's much of a willingness to use Ngamo at this point in his career. It certainly is a rotation piece. So I do think we are needing another option, and we would be a little bit short if we don't get Isak. But it's not necessarily the end of the world.
Is it a problem, Dan, for Liverpool if they don't go and get this other top striker, especially now that you've seen, Arsenal go out and get Alexander Isak, Arsenal go out and get Eze? Do you think this leaves Liverpool too short?
Sure, yeah.
Sorry, no, you're fine, mate.
Yeah, I do think that will leave them a little short, because I keep saying to people, everyone keeps talking about how many signings they've made, but they've lost big players. In Diaz, I saw him scoring his debut the other day. Big player. I think it was 14 or 15 league goals for them. Sets the press, sets the tone. He's a key player. Obviously, rest in peace, Jota. He used to come up with big goals. So, Trent, massive attacking wise, massive miss, even defensively, because people run him down. But he wasn't as bad as defender as people made out. So look, Isak, come on, they're probably. I think Arsenal are favourites now. I think they've just gone to favourites with the bookies as well. I think if Liverpool get Isak, they'll go back to the favourites. But I think what could be more important for Liverpool is perhaps signing a centre back, because Konate, I know he's. I don't think he's fully fit. He can't be, the way he played against Bournemouth. But Konate, I'm not so sure. I think Guehi could perhaps be a more important signing for Liverpool right now than an Isak, to be fair, because Hincapie looks very good from what I've seen. But I agree with what he's saying. You would probably rather wait for an Isak than go and buy someone who's nowhere near going to be the level of Isak. But if you look at their options, I think they will be just a tad short, because Núñez is another one. Núñez, everyone slates him off. I remember when Arsenal drew with Villa, and I can't remember who you guys played, but he scored 2 goals in injury time, got you the 3 points.
Brentford.
Pivotal 3 points in the season. Yeah, Brentford. So that's another player that they've lost. So these squad players, they matter. They come on, they can score goals certain times. So I think they've lost, 3 key attackers. They brought in Hincapie, they brought in Wirtz. Obviously, they want Isak to be the next one. So yeah, it's going to be really interesting. I think he'll be a Newcastle player when the transfer window shuts.
Kate, do you think Liverpool, if they don't do this now, they've wasted too much time on Isak, and maybe they could have gone for a winger? They could have gone for, they haven't brought in another centre back yet either. That's still likely to happen. Is it possible that after an amazing start to the window, that Liverpool actually end it short?
I just don't see them not getting their man. This is Liverpool, If it was Spurs, I'd say yeah, for sure. Because but I just think they've spent this long sorting out because they know they're going to get him. I don't see any other outcome than Isak going to Liverpool. They've got Hincapie, who looks like he's an absolute baller as well, but I think they've put all their eggs in that basket, and they will end up walking away with Isak, because Newcastle, A, won't be able to turn the money down, in my opinion. And I think, B, they don't want to keep a player that's unhappy. And so I think, like I say, I don't necessarily agree with the way it's been done, but I don't see any other option. And if they don't get him, then, yeah, they have wasted way too much time, but I think they will get him.
What are you saying, David? Sorry. Go on, Anton. You started. Go on, David.
Okay, I was just going to retort what Kate said. Martin Zubimendi, who does he play for?
Oh, yeah, I know. Arsenal.
Moises Caicedo, who does he play for?
Okay,
they are entirely different situations.
Yeah, they are.
They're entirely different situations.
No, but they don't. But Liverpool don't always get their man. You guys actually have.
But they're the only ones going in for him.
More often than not in recent history.
Okay, so if that's the line you want to go for, sure. But on the basis that the Isak situation is not compatible to those situations, because Isak wants to join Liverpool. Those ones didn't want to join us. So they're not compatible.
Yeah, if we don't want Isak to go to Liverpool, so it's a different situation, but could be a similar result. Like, honestly, this idea that Liverpool always get their man is rubbish. It more often than not in recent history,
Rubbish.
Liverpool walk away empty-handed.
If they get him or not, they're finishing second anyway.
Sorry, say that again.
Whether they get him or not, they're finishing second.
Are City winning, are they?
The Invincibles 2.0 are coming this Sunday, 2-0 to the Arsenal.
You see,
we'll
right?
get
Okay.
onto that soon.
We'll get on to that, but there's something.
Yeah. Anyway,
oh my God, I love it.
To answer the question, it is football. I think I've made this very clear. And by the way, thanks Dan for pointing out. Hey Hassam, Arsenal are the favorites to win the Premier League. So you're laughing at me for saying the spreadsheet. Well, the spreadsheet doesn't lie, my friend. Arsenal are the favorites for the Premier League. Exactly. And look here, I'll give you an example. Right, this is why Liverpool are short. So people were making criticisms of Arsenal's window only about a week or two ago. On the left wing, we have Eberechi Eze, Martinelli, Leandro Trossard. That's 3 players deep at Arsenal.
Don't forget the other guy.
You got Nani as well. You got
no. I was going to go to the right.
On
the right, we've got Bukayo Saka, Madueke. Right, you got Max Dowman who was playing there the other day. Ethan Wanieri can play there.
We were putting 15-year-olds in the depth chart. What are we doing?
No, but here's your depth chart. And by the way, Gyökeres, Havertz, Jesus. Here's your depth chart. Gakpo, Ekitike, Salah, and Chiesa, and Rio. That's it.
Yeah.
And Rio is how old is Rio? 16 years old?
Older than Max Dowman, who was in your depth chart.
Okay, by a year, but we're not expecting Max Dowman to play week in, week out, or like he's only probably going to play in home games against bottom 10 opposition this year. Like we're going to slowly bet him in, but you have a situation. You're 1 injury away from having Rio having to play week in and week out at 16 years old at Liverpool.
I mean,
your depth up front is nowhere near comparable. Chelsea's depth up front is way superior to yours. Yes, you have the one ceiling raiser. You got Mohamed Salah, right? But he, as you mentioned, he's going to go away to AFCON in January. Like you are incredibly short, and like I would like to think, if I was a Liverpool fan, that there must be reasons that they sold Diaz and they sold Nunez, that they're not just going to sell those players and then not replace them, because I imagine that there is going to be a lot of movement for Liverpool in the last 7 days, because there has to be. Otherwise,
there will be. But I'll be honest. You've done your depth thing there. I'm not worried about it. I think quality is more important than quantity. You've got 3 left wingers, and yet my left winger is better than all of them. You've named me 3
wait. Sorry, Gakpo is better than Eberechi Eze.
Yes, as a left winger, yes. As a left winger, yes, 100%.
No,
Eze's a fantastic attacking midfielder.
Eze plays as a left 10 in Crystal Palace's system, which is
exactly.
So he's a 10. So he's a 10.
Everyone gets this from this idea he's a number 10. He's not.
Yeah.
If you look in their most important games, the FA Cup semi-final and the final, which he scored in both, he played on the left.
Well, is this left winger or left 10? I was just talking about left winger. If you're asking me who'd I'd rather have on the left wing, I'd rather have Cody Gakpo on the left wing than Eberechi Eze. I'd rather have Eze in the middle.
You have your man and we'll have ours. So
sure.
We disagree.
But the whole point of the depth thing, you can sit there and have the 3 options. I don't care if my option's better than them. I don't care.
So you rather have Rio than Leandro Trossard, a seasoned Premier League veteran, and Gabriel Martinelli, also a seasoned Premier League veteran, and on your bench?
Ironically, yeah, I'd rather have Hincapie than Trossard. I'd rather have Hincapie than Trossard, to be honest. I'd rather trust in the youthfulness.
He's never played one game in the Premier League. That's insanity.
Fine. That's fine. I've seen enough.
They may not be that great starter level players, but they are great alternatives. They're great bench players. They're good to come off the bench.
United
Trossard wins games for Arsenal off the bench.
Yeah. That's brilliant. I've got my guy for that. I've got Federico Chiesa to come off.
He did it one time.
And score the goals.
He barely played for you last season.
Exactly. She was injured all the time. But when you're talking about pedigree for a backup, you can't get much more pedigree than what Federico Chiesa is a footballer.
I hear that. David, do you think Liverpool could end up being short?
I do think so. I think with the amount of football that's being played and so on, I think players are a bit more prone to injuries. And if Liverpool do get 1 or 2 injuries in a certain position, like if you get 2 injuries to strikers, then you're kind of looking like, oh, who's filling this void? So I do think they could be left short. What I do find quite funny is all this chess that's come from nowhere. I like this is amazing. I'm loving it.
Well, on that, because it feeds very well into the next fictional football question, I think, to be fair, and it seamlessly works. And I'll ask it to you because I know you're enjoying this. Let me just timestamp when this is coming in because I think it's important too. So Arsenal, as we can see today, have agreed personal terms and are very likely to sign. Pronounce the name again for me, David.
Piero Hincapie.
Okay. Hincapie to Arsenal, personal terms set to be agreed on that. But the fiction or football question is Arsenal are now set to spend circa 300 million this summer. They are now favourites to win the Premier League.
Okay, if I'm going off the assumption of what I think is going to happen by the end of the window, so I'm going off with Arsenal get Hincapie and Liverpool do not get Isak, then that is football because then Arsenal should be favourites. However, if Liverpool may not even get Isak, but if Liverpool go and sign a centre back and then a winger, then I'm going to put them ahead of Arsenal. But regardless of either of those things, I actually don't think it matters because I think there are 3 teams in the Premier League who must win the Premier League title this year. They're like, without fail, they must win the Premier League title. 2 of them are going to be disappointed at the end of it. So whoever's favourite, I don't really care because I'm still expecting the other 2 to win, that's what happens in elite sport. You end up with really good teams playing each other. One's going to win, the others aren't. That's it. What I really like about this question, though, and what I really like about the chess that I'm seeing from Arsenal fans is you have no excuse now. Like, there is no excuse now. I'm sorry. Like, every single season I've heard this is our season. And then at the end of the season, I hear, oh, yeah, but we had the worst injury run in the history of football. The referees are against us. There is a brand new excuse every season. And people just magic up and just give it to them. Like, oh, here you go. Now there is no excuse. I do not care if the referees are against you. I do not care if if VAR goes against you. I don't care if you get injuries, nothing. Because now you're all telling me you've got 3 different people in each position that are all seasoned Premier League veterans that can go out and do their thing.
Well, not
so. Okay, fine. Take out Max Dowman, but you're still telling me about Eze, Trossard, and Martinelli. And then on the other side, you've got Saka and Madueke. You've got 5 wingers. You've got 5 wingers there. And Madueke can play both sides. And we've got Wanyeri as well, who can play right wing. And he's had 2 seasons in the Prem now. So I'm sorry, you don't get away with it. Do I rate Gyökeres? Not personally, no, I don't. And yeah, all right, cool. He scored his 2 goals against Leeds. I don't care. You think him dribbling past Pascal Strike is going to change my opinion? Nah. Henry, you're eating that chip at the end of the season. Don't worry about it. You're eating that chip. But you've got Gyökeres up there. You've got Havertz, who I actually think is a better suit to the system. So you've got 2 strikers there. Then you're going to tell me that your midfield now, because now you've got Eze and you've got Odegaard and you've got Rice and you've got this guy and you've got that guy. Then you go into your defense and you got Gabriel and Saliba and you now got Hincapie, who people are now going to tell me is world class or at least top class or he's amazing and can play.
Oh no, he'll step in and be the best left back in the Premier League day 1 for sure.
There you go. See, so now he's got. So now you've got. Really? Wait, no, Terry, wait. No, Terry, wait. Now they've got 3 left backs. They don't forget they were calling Lewis Skelly top class. They've got Calafiori, who when he signed was top class. They've now got Hincapie, who's going to be the best left back in the league. That was like, there is no excuse. I don't care about anything, yeah? Because now you're telling me you've got the best player or at least a top 3 player in every position in the Premier League. So if you don't win a Premier League or a Champions League, you are in trouble. Just know it. Just know you're all in trouble. You all better go in hiding, have shame. Because there's no way you can have all of these riches, right? Your squad actually might be bigger than mine now. That's how many players you've got who are seasoned veterans. You cannot have all of this and then at the end of the season say, "Oh yeah, but Saka got injured for 3 or 4 weeks." I don't care.
David, you're forgetting. It's Mikel Arteta's first job. It's Mikel Arteta's first job. That's the one they go for. It's his first job. You can't expect
I hear that. I hear
job.
that. I've got to pivot though. I've got to pivot to Anton on this. On the new signing, whose name I'm going to keep saying wrong. You really, I want to make sure I ask this question. Want to be fair. You think he comes in and is instantly the best left back in the Premier League day one?
Yeah, look, I've watched this player play many times by Leverkusen, and look, he did for under Jabi Alonso. He used him in so many different ways. He used him on the left side of a back three. He used him at left back at times. So they have Grimaldo, on that side as well, who played there. But in times when he needed to use Hincapie, he used Hincapie sometimes even as a left wing back. He is so versatile. He is fits Arsenal like a glove. He's great from set pieces. He's aggressive in the tackle. He's got great recovery pace. And going forward with the ball at his feet, he can be overlapping fullback if you need him to. He's got great passing vision. I just think he's just got the lot. I wanted this player 2 years ago when we went last season when we went for Calafiori. He was the original target, and I felt that we got a little bit, Euros praise by watching Calafiori, and we switched off of, I think, who our original target is, which is why I'm not surprised that we're going to go after this player now. I think that he is perfectly suited to the Premier League, and yes, he is going to, I'd say, be similar to what Josko Gvardiol's impact was at City in year one. So yes.
Wow. Kate, your reaction to that?
I was just looking for some waffles because there's so much crap I'm hearing.
Your team wanted him as well, didn't they, Kate?
Well, it depends what sources you believe. I love the chess, though, considering that your team has currently become very averse to winning anything. All of a sudden, you're going to win everything.
That's about to change.
Oh, is it? I heard that last year and the year before.
Last year we were short. I wasn't here last year. There was somebody else who was here last year. Last year we were short, and I made it very clear we were short.
Not every Arsenal fan feels like this, by the way. I've had a bet with one of my mates, right? And he's given me 4-1 odds. Because I said I could just do the bet with the bookies, right? This is when we were second favourites. He's given me 4-1. But he said I had to put £1,000 on at minimum. And I've had £1,000 on with him. And I had this bet with him not last year, the year before. The year we got to 89 points and I lost the bet. But I've had it on with him again this year. So if Arsenal win the league this year, it's £5,000 coming in my back pocket. But you might
But the thing is, you might be
let me finish as well, right? In answer to the question, it's a fact because with the bookies, Arsenal are now favourites. But listen, they had Leicester as 5,000 to 1. So, what do the bookies know? But in answer to the question, it is a fact that we are now favourites with the bookies.
As long as you can all admit, if you are favourites, you have to win.
Yes.
No matter what.
We have to win.
David, I'm not going to argue with you. At the end of the season, if we don't win a trophy, if we don't win anything,
no, not the
there
trophy,
are no excuses. And I will be here. I'll and I'll let you. I'll be open season. You guys can come after us. Yes, Arsenal need to win
cream out
this season.
Arsenal need to win trophies. Not all Arsenal fans feel like this. There are a lot of Arsenal fans out there who still think that we are not going to win the league and still pessimistic as ever. We won 5-0 the other day. People are moaning, talking about set pieces. Trust me, there are some horrible Arsenal fans out there who do not believe their team are going to do anything. They say over 20 years of being scarred and whatever. So trust me, if people say, Arsenal fans are coming with chest, me and Anton are coming with chest, but there's a lot of Arsenal fans who do not feel like we're going to do it.
Send me them. I need to see what's going on.
I'm in group chats with loads of them.
Can I say, I do not subscribe in sports to the idea of, I don't want to put my club under pressure. I don't want to, put myself out there and say that we should be winning. I think that is, I don't know, can I swear on this channel at all or no?
Just don't drop the C-bomb.
All right. I think I think that is just very weak mentality to be like, oh, like this whole leopard in the tree thing Hassam keeps trying to be like. No, you guys are the defending champions. There's no leopards in the trees. All right, either you're going to come out and tell me that you're going to win, or you think someone else is better. Tell me now. But there's no, oh, I don't think our team is good enough, and then later on making excuses for why we haven't. No, I think
I hear that. Can I go back to Kate? Because Kate was going to say something. I just want Kate to finish her point.
Terry. I do like it when people don't overtalk me. Look, sorry. Arsenal are favourites with odds checker. They're 2-1 now with Liverpool 11-5. So that's it. It's fact. They've got to win the league. I don't care. Like David says, I don't care if you get Saka injured. I don't care. You've bought all these players. You spent a fortune. You're telling us that Hincapie or whatever his name is going to be the best left back in the Premier League. Sorry, that's classic. As soon as he walks into the team, you can't buy all these players and give it so much chest and then go at the end of the season. But you've got to take it. You're going to have to take it, because I don't think you are going to win the league. I can quite happily say I don't think you'll ever win the league with Arteta as manager. I think you'll bottle it like you always do, but you might get a second place trophy, because would it be a 4-peat this year? But yeah, so no, I don't. I do think they're favourites. I do think they have to win it, but I don't think they will.
Viewers, give us your thoughts, give us your opinions in the comments section below. A few super chats here. First one says, so you saw Wirtz rip up better than Odegaard and Eze?
Yes, I do think. By the way, I'm going to be completely unbiased here. I think Wirtz is also the best 10 in the league. I think Wirtz also can lift it up. I think give him some time to get settled and get used to the pace and the physicality. But yes, Wirtz is a better number 10 than Odegaard and Eze. I'm not going to dispute that.
Do YouTubers think clubs generate money from banter? Second again, ole, ole, ole for 3 years, plus a Champions League quarter and semi-final was funded this summer. Do YouTubers think clubs generate money from banter? I don't understand.
I'll be honest. We all know Arsenal don't generate money from the sales, because they're awful at that. So it has to be from somewhere else.
If Elon Musk drives a Pinto, and does the Pinto become worth more than a Lamborghini? Newcastle has rich owners. Newcastle aren't rich. Newcastle fans are being lied to. I do agree with that. When I see people write they're the richest club in the world, they're not. They've got rich owners, but that money isn't all in the club. It's they're not one of the poorest, but they're not one of the richest. If Totti what?
He's saying if Tottenham inquire for Isak, he'd go to Liverpool within the hour.
That can speed it up, to be fair. If Liverpool
don't get go Isak, for him, then.
If Liverpool don't get Isak now, he goes to Barca next year. Potentially.
I don't think
Barca can afford it.
Yeah.
Have they even registered Rashford yet?
He will be at Liverpool at some point. I just don't think it's now.
Darren here says we should have gone for De Jong from Barcelona. He just signed a new deal. He wants to stay. I mean, it's great to say. That's what I mean by. That's why I've realized a lot of people don't like to give solutions when they talk football now, because the solution can often lose you support. An example I gave yesterday is: would we all agree it would be a good government policy to say free heating and electric for the elderly in the winter? None of us would look at that and go, "That's bad." The problem is when you ask them how are they going to fund it. That's when people's reaction and thoughts. If it's like, yeah, all your council tax is going up by £1,000 a year. Suddenly everybody goes, let them freeze because I can't afford it, right? I'm obviously being I'm exaggerating a little bit, but that's it. It's the same with Amorim's got to go. Who would you bring in as a replacement? What would the style be? Your answer might change you from getting all the support of the Amorim outers to them thinking you're a dickhead. So people don't like to give the solution because in the debate world, that's the fear. People that bring solutions, they fear ridicule, where it's sometimes very easy just to point out a problem. By the way, Amorim is a problem right now. He isn't getting the best out of us. But the De Jong thing, I use that as an example because he doesn't want to leave and he signed a new deal. So I won't hold that over my club's head and go, should have got him. It was impossible. Therefore, why would I be angry? Arsenal should go by Mainoo. Imagine having this player not playing and wanting to buy Belieber, who's the exact profile, but he isn't the exact profile. See, this is the thing; they are different from one another. Belieber, when it comes to, he's a very different man in terms of winning the ball back, in terms of his energy and dynamism. Mainoo isn't particularly quick. He's faster than all of us, but he isn't particularly quick. He's very, very good. Oh, sorry, it's old news. I thought it was new news. Sorry, that came through. So yeah, I don't think they're the same player. Fact or fiction? If Liverpool gets Isak, they have had a better window than Arsenal. Also, is Timber the best right back in the league?
Yeah.
No.
Who's better than him?
Who are candidates? Can we make like a short list?
Terry, who did you say was the best in the league the other day when I came on for the match reaction? Who did you
better
say?
not say who I think you're going to say.
Did
He
you say
said
Pedro
Jed
Porro's the
Spence.
best right back in the league?
You said
not
Jed
tell me.
Spence is the best at the
Jed
minute.
Spence.
and he's
No.
Yes,
What I
it
said.
is.
Hang on.
No.
Hang on. That's not quite what I said.
Not Jedward.
No, it's not quite what I said. I said he's the best player I've seen in the league in a long time who's playing out of position. So I know he's playing at left back, and I said can't think of very many other fullbacks that could play on the opposite side and be as good as and consistent as him. That is what I said.
Timber can.
Okay, so I'm just looking through a list of right backs in the league.
But no, Kate misrepresented me there, done me up like a kipper.
Yeah,
I think that's what you said word for word,
So-
Terry.
No.
I'll tell you this much: Frimpong or Timber. I'd rather have Timber. Like, I just think he's a much better defender. Reece James can never stay healthy. He's also better than Gusto. Livramento is good, but I'd still take Timber. Porro is probably the closest there is to it. To be honest, I do rate Porro a lot.
There's not very many. I mean, honestly, there's not very many. There's not very many that you would genuinely say are better than him.
Honestly, why is there any club even close to Arsenal and the favourites if they've got the best right back, the best left back, the best centre back, the best DM, the best box to box?
Let me ask you a question, Tom.
The best striker.
Tom, let me ask you a question. Would you swap Connor Bradley right now for Urian Timber?
Yes, because at least Urian Timber's fit.
but you're talking about the next 3 or 4 years. Would you swap Connor Bradley for Timber?
No, because Connor Bradley came to my academy, so I'll always back the academy boys.
Okay.
Yeah, you should.
Would you swap, David? Would you swap Reece James for Timber?
Absolutely not.
What?
What kind of question is that?
Wait, does Reece
What kind
James
of
ever
question-
actually even play? Like, he's injured all the time.
I mean,
Do you
he's
not
their
wanna have-
captain. He's won the Champions League with him. I get that.
Oh,
You're
okay.
acting like
He's also
a person.
he's also an academy player, so it can't be like, oh, well, on Connor Bradley. What? How are you doing that for Reece James?
No,
You're
it's just more
also, you're acting like he didn't play.
availability
He
thing.
played like he played 20+ games last year in the Premier League.
Listen,
And
when
also-
Reece James
when
is on
he's-
song, he's the best.
when Reece James,
Yeah. No, I'd say
Okay.
my question is more is availability. Like, your best ability is availability, and for the majority of his career, he has not been available.
I will take those 15 games of Reece James where he's on it over Timber.
But not to say that Timber has been available at the same time. He also missed his entire first
Yeah,
season. at
Reece
Arsenal.
James was at this world at one point.
Oh, some breaking news just through. Negotiations between Napoli and Manchester United are in the final stages on a loan deal with a buy option clause to become mandatory. Talks underway with Rasmus and his camp over personal terms again today. So that one is close. That one's close. Good times. Good times. I don't know. I don't feel good
by
about
the
nothing
way-
right now. But there we go.
I would
Terry,
add,
can I ask you something?
Yeah.
United, right? Yves Bissouma.
No.
Do you have him?
No.
West
No.
Ham won him.
No.
Sorry, Yves Bissouma.
Yeah. For United.
No.
Are we back in like 2021?
No.
We're struggling. We're really struggling.
No.
I just
No.
saw him linked with West Ham, and I thought,
We're
Surely
scraping
could
the
be
barrel
United.
here.
No.
It was straight.
I'd rather.
If he's linked to
no.
West Ham, I think that's a sign of his quality at the minute.
Exactly.
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
he's
Not.
been
Not.
having
You guys getting
disciplinary- he's had disciplinary problems, hasn't he, with Thomas Frank?
Yeah.
It's not going to
Yeah.
help fix United club culture.
I have a final question of the night. Fiction or football? I'm going to go to Tom first on this. Thomas Frank has Tottenham perfectly balanced. They will finish above Chelsea in the top 4 race.
Well, you had me on board at the first half. Oh my god.
Oh, it's not my question. This is a statement someone made on Twitter, but yeah, go for it.
I was on board on the first start. I've always been a big fan of Thomas Frank, and I was a bit annoyed when he went to Tottenham because he's the kind of manager that can make it work at Tottenham. And it should be a little bit worrying that he's doing this well with them, and I still don't think he's playing some of the best players. I still think once Solanke gets fit, he comes in and adds a different dynamic to it. I think that they definitely have room for 1 or 2 more signings to help strengthen that lineup. Saying that, though, they're not going to finish above Chelsea because Chelsea are just a bit better than them at everything. Chelsea are a little bit more settled and a little bit better than them at everything. Tottenham, what Tottenham have done is throw me, and so I've got to sit there now and go, Tottenham will finish 5th. Tottenham will definitely finish 5th. If the Premier League gets 5 Champions League spots, Tottenham will get the 5th Champions League spot because I do think they're there. But I just overall, there's still 1 or 2 doubts I have about Tottenham. Not about the manager, more so about the fitness.
Confirmed lineups tonight. Isak's on the bench. He's not. That's fiction, not football. Sorry. Back to you, Tom.
I mean, the lineups aren't great anyway. I've got no McAllister, so that's great.
No excuses.
Sorry, I can't play that card, can I?
Yeah.
But no, I don't think they'll finish above Chelsea, but I do think that Tottenham will have a very solid season on the Thomas Frank, a very solid building season where they start to properly settle. And I just don't think I still got question marks about the fitness of certain players. You know, if Mickey Van de Ven can't stay fit, then I do think there's a lot more problems for Tottenham because I do think even against City, I know that it's not the high line which was killing him, but I do think he's so important to how they play just because he's the best bailout option you could have as a defender. And I do think that they need to get a creative midfielder in as well. I do think if they fail to get that, Pat Matej has been decent. He's a good footballer. You're not going to do... He can't do a 10 as the whole season, though. That's the problem. So, I'm very impressed by them. I think the result on the weekend was very good. I know Tottenham do that pretty often against City, so it's not like it's outlandish that they do that. But I thought the way they managed the performance as a whole was very good. I don't think they really let City into the game much. They went in there with a brave game plan and pulled it off. So that's got to give them confidence. But I don't think they're going to finish ahead of Chelsea this season. I just think Chelsea are a little bit too settled. They've had a year under this manager. They couldn't be in a much better state in terms of momentum and morale, having just won that Club World Cup. So I do think that Chelsea can ride that through.
Well, are you playing Curtis Jones at right back?
It'll either be Curtis Jones or Szoboszlai at right back.
Yes, sir.
What do you make of Tottenham's start to the season? Very balanced, potent, hard to beat. Do you see them as a top 4 candidate? Could they get ahead of Chelsea?
Okay, so this is a very interesting question you put here. I think there are 2 answers to this. The first one, has Frank got Tottenham perfectly balanced? Football. I think I've been very impressed with Tottenham. I think they're a lot more solid, especially defensively. I thought they absolutely outmuscled Man City. I think Man City they exposed them in certain respects in terms of the physicality. I'm just going to be honest about that. And I look, again, Tottenham are my biggest rivals, but I was thoroughly impressed with what they did. I was impressed with them in the Super Cup as well. I was impressed with them when we played them in Hong Kong. And I was impressed when they beat Burnley. I think he does have Tottenham playing in a very good way. I like a lot of the players that you brought in. I like Mohamed Kudus. So I think you have a good balance. Will you finish in the top 4? No, because I just think that Arsenal, Liverpool, City, and Chelsea, I just think have better teams overall, and throughout the course of the season will probably be ahead. Because again, I was very thoroughly impressed with how Chelsea looked on Friday night as well. So I don't want to take Chelsea out of the conversation here. If any of us who's going to drop out at the moment, I think it might be City, if anything. So we're going to talk about, are they going to finish above Chelsea? I think the question more is, after on the back end of having performed the way they did away at the Etihad, the question more should be, could they finish above Man City? Because I think, I picked City to win the league a couple weeks ago on this show. I'm now going to change that. But yeah, now I think they're in free fall. And if Tottenham do make it in the top 4, it's not at Chelsea's expense. It's at City's expense.
What do you think, Kate? Your team?
My team. Look, I think it's fiction. I don't think we'd finish above Chelsea. As far as having us well balanced, like we haven't even got a number 10 at the minute. We're playing Sarr in that position. And we've got a brilliant first 11, 12, 13. I'm happy with that. But we've got very little squad depth. There's still so much we need. We obviously haven't got Maddison fit. We haven't got Kulusevski fit. We still need to get a left winger of the same quality as Kudus, and then I think we will really be dangerous up front. But then again, you look at Brendan Johnson, gets loads of shit, but he knows where the goal is. He just comes up with a goal all the time. So look, we're in phase 8 weeks. We're not in phase 6. We've literally got 8 weeks of Thomas Frank, and already the change that he's made to this squad is unbelievable. Probably could turn out to be our best signing for a long, long time. As much as I loved Pochettino, this guy looks levels above him tactically so far, but it is only 2 games in. We certainly made City look bang average. Chelsea are 8-13 to finish in the top 4. We're 11-4. So the bookmakers strongly fancy Chelsea as well. They've got a lot more strength in depth. They've got a lot more quality. So look, if we can challenge and get into top 5, I'll be absolutely over the moon. From a 17th finish to go up to the top sort of 7 is brilliant start. But yeah, I think the key to our season, I agree with Tom, is keeping players like Van der Ven fit. He's such an important part of our team. Hopefully his hamstrings won't be too challenged as much this season without Ange having him running left, right and centre all over the pitch. But look, even if we did lose a Van der Ven, we have got Danso now, who's been really solid. He looks like he's a good defender as well. But no, to finish above Chelsea, step too far. As I say, I said 7th, anywhere 7th or above, and I will be over the moon for the first season.
When's Kulusevski back?
Well, it was meant to be around October, but it's an update's come out to say it won't be till next year, beginning of next year.
Oh,
What
wow.
did he do?
God knows. He seemed like he's in the gym on the machine, but he's still got something wrong with his ankle. I don't know, but they're saying it won't be till next year.
The issue with a lot of these injuries, I actually watched something on AFTV, and this was about the ACL, but I remember reading about it that there's a lot of different parts of the body this happens to. So when with your ACL, they take another part of fiber from another part of your leg, and they essentially replace it. The problem is that the ACL is quite, I might get this the wrong way around because I'm obviously not an expert, but the ACL is quite stiff, where they take the fiber from, it's quite a flexible piece of fiber. And it takes months for it to essentially stiffen up, so that although you can have the operation, you can be walking and you can be doing gym work, playing football and twisting and turning, that thing's going to snap again very quickly if it isn't right. And that's why a lot of these injuries, sometimes the operation can go well, they can look quite good, but sometimes you just need time. It's just time is an issue. And what has he done? Was it his Achilles tendon?
Oh, it's his kneecap. Yeah, I thought it was his ankle, but it's his kneecap. But he's had surgery, but the recovery's taking longer than they thought, which always happens at the end of the day.
Crazy. What do you think positive, Dan, about Tottenham's start to the season? And the Spurs fan that made that claim, it might be getting a little bit ahead of themselves, but they've got real cause for optimism at White Hart Lane right now.
I think you said it best. I can't remember what show it was, but you said it best when you said that he's basically playing Brentford style, but with better players. So, and again, I think he's a very good manager. So I think he's going to make Tottenham much more better defensively. Again, last year, they finished in that position because of Ange's naivety. That's the only reason they finished 17th, because he was just naive and carried on playing a system that just clearly wasn't working. And Van der Ven now, his hamstrings are going to be saying thank you, because he's not going to be left on his own chasing back all the time, because they've got a bit of structure. But do I think they'll finish in the top 4? Absolutely no chance in hell. It's 2 games in. They always beat City. They finished 17th and beat them 4-0 last year, right? I think Newcastle are a better team than them, especially if they keep Isak. They'll finish above them. Chelsea will. So yeah, I think the best they could do is 6th. I think that'd be a great season for them, going from 17 to 6. Also, don't forget they're in the Champions League. So when they're playing in the Champions League, the squad's quite thin. They could end up, if they finish in the top 10, I think they've had a good season.
Your bias is showing.
Just how I feel.
And David, what do you reckon? Do you think maybe a little bit too far with Tottenham too early in the season?
It's an insulting question. Like, it's actually so thick. Because the same people that put that question across were the same people demanding that my club say that we should be winning the title. So how in 1 week of results, we've gone from Chelsea can win the title to we might drop out of the top 4 because of the Spuds it doesn't make any sense.
It was a week where you won 5-1 as well.
Yeah, true, right?
It doesn't make any sense at all. I don't know how that's a question. If again, my prediction for Spurs, I think I put them 7th or 8th. And I think that's a really good improvement from where they were. And obviously you always get with Spurs, and this happens all the time. They always start off when they get a new manager. After 10 games, they were talking about Ange is gonna win the league. And then they finished. And I know you weren't, Kate, but that was a thing. That was a thing. It wasn't one of those things that came out of positive Spurs, but it wasn't really a thing. No, that was a genuine thing that was going on. And then afterwards, they kind of tailed off. So, I think 2 games in, everyone's kind of just got to keep a level head and just be like, not much has changed. The thing I'm more worried about is my Man United prediction. I've got them finishing above Spurs. That's probably going to be wrong because I didn't think they would stink this badly. But yeah, I think it's too quick. Everything's like, because last week we drew against Crystal Palace, a good Crystal Palace, by the way, the only Crystal Palace that has Eze in it, the only one that anyone will play all season. We drew with them, and I had certain people on this panel. These certain people on this panel were saying Chelsea are overrated. They don't know what they did with the Club World Cup and this, that, and the other, and yada yada yada.
Who said that? Who said that? Just name one.
Oh, it was Kate and Tom. Kate and Tom. Oh, yeah.
Well, I never said anything like that.
Yeah. The Club World Cups is not even serious. PSG were tired. Who cares?
Oh, but they were though. I mean, I'm not moved by the fact you beat Graham Potter. Well done on beating Graham Potter, David. All that
nonsense I was hearing. It's just again, like I think Spurs are going to be better, and they've improved a lot. But I think it's just too early to know whether it's whether it's a sizable continuous improvement where they can sustain it, or if it's oh no, they were really that bad and now they're just better than they were. Like they haven't, like so far they actually haven't done anything different to what they've done under Ange. Technically, after 2 games, because they beat a promoted side.
You mean the results, right? Yeah.
The results. They beat a promoted side and they beat Man City away from home. They did that last.
The first 10 games under Ange, you didn't play anyone decent. To be fair, the first 10 games.
Yeah. So no, my point is that if I can do that, being like, oh, you guys haven't improved. Why? You did the exact same thing you did last season. But I don't think that's true, because I'm watching you guys and you're defensively you're a lot better. And why can I hear I can hear feedback from somewhere? I don't know where.
I think it might be coming from Kate. I try muting everybody one by one. Sometimes it does that. I muted Kate and I think it's gone.
But yeah, no, it's one of those things where it's like they're improving, and I think they have improved. How much they've improved, I don't know yet. So to start putting them into big conversations, I think it's a bit early.
The standards lowered. Last week, Terry asked, "Are they going to be better than Arsenal?" Now, are they going to be better?
Again, I remember I want to be very clear. It's not me asking. These are statements made on socials, and I ask you if it's fact or fiction. It's not questions I ask are not my statements. I know I have to make sure people are very aware of that, because Kate's already misrepresented me today, saying I said Jed Spence was the best right back in the league. I think I said he's the best right back in the league playing at left back, is what I think I said. But yeah, which is, but I did that.
That's a big bit of context to miss out.
Yeah, it is a little bit, but you know what I mean. She's moving like Staffy out here. But for me, I think what you said holds water. I think Spurs are going to have a very good season. Stand on it. I'm probably going to change. I think I put them 8th before the ball was kicked. When I redo my league table after the end of the window, I'm already decided they're going up. I already know that. That all being said, we have seen teams, whether start seasons well and fade. We've seen teams start seasons slow and get better. And that's what I love about the early part of the season, because we all do it in one way, shape. We'll flip-flop. Oh, they look amazing. You'll see a team like Leeds, their first game looked really, really good. Then it was like, oh, Leeds could stay out this year. They get battered 5-0 by Arsenal. Oh, they're really crap, really, aren't they? And, Sunderland smashed up West Ham, and then they lose to Burnley. And I know Burnley are also promoted, and they've got a good home record last year. But maybe they're not as strong as everybody thought. I think sometimes too many conclusions are made early in the season. I think that's a very fair point, David. Rival fans, Arsenal must win something this season. Also, rival fans, Arsenal fans have some chest thinking they are going to win something this year. That's fair. Sky Sports lineups for Liverpool: Alisson, Szoboszlai, Konate, Van Dijk, Kirkes, Grav, Jones, Wirtz, Gakpo, Ekitike, Salah. Should win.
So what's that right back? Is that
Szoboszlai right back? Still should win.
If you play Szoboszlai right back against us next week, you're in trouble. I'll say that.
Yeah.
Are they in trouble?
Abariche Eze against.
Sorry, hang on. Say that again. Say what you said again. I didn't hear you, Anton.
I said if Szoboszlai starts at right back next weekend against Arsenal, they're in trouble.
If there's one thing about Arsenal,
we will exploit that. We will exploit
the one thing about Arsenal I'm not worried about is their attack. I'm going to be very honest about that.
No, but really true. The personnel is different. So you're thinking about the way Arsenal played last year with different personnel.
Aren't you going to need to put Eze? Hold on. Aren't you going to need to put Eze in the middle anyway?
I think it's yet to be determined.
What the fuck with the fireworks as well?
I don't know how you do that.
You had an epiphany. I
don't know how that does that. I think you could play him in either position.
Ethan
Waneri could easily. Yeah, but Ethan Waneri could easily come in the 10. It's interesting because I think that Arteta might very well like Martinelli, especially away from home, because of his ability to track back and defend.
Martinelli will start.
I will be brutally honest.
Either way, he'll still drift.
I will be brutally honest. If I'm next Sunday, whatever time the lineup comes out, see a front three of Madueke, Martinelli, and Gyökeres, I'm not scared.
Literally,
I promise you that.
I'm not worried.
I promise you that.
I'd
put Curtis Jones at left back and Szoboszlai at right back. I wouldn't be scared. Well, I'm not bothered by that.
The biggest threat Arsenal have got is Declan Rice's right foot in the corner. That's the biggest threat.
That is a big threat.
But what about? Sorry, if you have Abariche Eze at the 10 and he is taking the ball and driving at defenders and pulling your defenders out and creating space. I mean, like, look at all the
we can all do fan
last
fiction.
week against you.
We can all do fan fiction. I've got Florian Wirtz to do that as well.
All right, so let's see.
It's going to be a great game. We're going to talk about this later in the week on the next episode of Six Sided. I want to thank my panel. I want to thank everyone who was tuned in, everyone who's hit the like button and super chatted. You're absolute legends. This is going to redirect you to Hassam's watch along. So make sure you go and support my brother over there. We're live after Newcastle take on Liverpool tonight. So we'll see you all in a couple of hours' time. Make sure you're all back here, bang on full time. Until next time, everybody, take care. Goodbye. God bless. And we'll see you all again soon.